So the protesters are back on the streets of Cairo after the Egyptian president Mohamed Morsi issued presidential decrees increasing his personal power and exempting him from any legal challenge. Opponents gathered in Tahrir Square and in other cities across Egypt to denounce the moves. But the Muslim Brotherhood swiftly organised a counter-rally addressed by the president himself outside the presidential palace. Our international editor, Lindsay Hilson, reports.
In Alexandria, they set the offices of the Muslim Brotherhood alight, angry that President Morsi has seized what they regard as dictatorial powers. After yesterday's declaration, presidential decrees cannot be challenged judicially. Well, this is another kind of challenge. In Cairo, President Morsi's supporters gathered outside the presidential palace. He's gained international stature after brokering a truce between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. Maybe that's why he felt emboldened to announce that he would rule by decree until a new constitution and new parliament are in place.
Yes, he might be a dictator for the time being, or might have unprecedented power throughout this period of 2 months. But after that, these powers will be transferred to an elected parliament.
Mr. Morsi is trying to curb the judiciary, many of whom were appointed by the ousted former President Mubarak. But yesterday's announcement also angered the secular opposition, who say this is just Mubarakism without Mubarak.
I would like to say to you all, here and everywhere else, supporters and opponents, it doesn't worry me that I have opponents. On the contrary, I want there to be a real and strong opposition. I've reserved all rights for my brothers in the opposition, so they can even hold a revolution if they must.
In Tahrir Square today, it looked for a while as if they might do just that. Political leaders Ammar Moussa and Mohamed Baradei were there. Mr. Baradei said the president was assuming the powers of a pharaoh. Many secular Egyptians who participated in the revolution last year supported President Morsi as an alternative to the military, but now they're having doubts.
These decisions are not well thought through. I don't think that the president considered the well-being of Egypt when he took them. His only goal was to gain full control over the country.
The demonstrations quickly descended into violence. Young men lobbed rocks at the police, who tried to disperse them with tear gas. Today's events show how volatile Egypt has become. But is this necessary resistance to stop a would-be dictator, or the actions of an out-of-control mob addicted to protest?
Well, we hope to be going live to Cairo in a moment, and we can look at some live images from Tahrir Square while I speak to our international editor, Lindsay Hilson, here in the studio. Lindsay, first of all, I mean, the people who are out there, are these people, were they always against the Muslim Brotherhood? Or were they once supporters who have now turned on them?
I think that many of the people who are out there were people who took part in the revolution last year, but they tended to be secularist. Now, when it came to the election, they had a choice, the military or the Muslim Brotherhood. They said the Muslim Brotherhood is change. We'll go for that. But now they're getting increasingly anxious. And they're saying that the Muslim Brotherhood is becoming dictatorial, that it's trying to force an Islamist agenda, and that it's no longer representing all of Egypt. And maybe what people have been saying in the last couple of days, they're saying that Morsi, they're calling him Mubarak with a beard. And that, of course, is not what they want. And they feel they have to come out again.
And, I mean, Egyptians grew quite used to just staying out on the streets. I mean, could this go on into another protracted standoff?
I think it depends what President Morsi does now. I think there is a sense that maybe he has gone too far, that what he has said is that the judiciary cannot appeal against him. He is now above the law. Now, many of the protesters don't mind that because they see the judiciary as throwbacks to Mubarak. But what they really object to is the fact that he is going to rule by decree, and they're worried that they will not have a say in the new constitution and that it will be all Islamist, against women, against Coptic Christians, against secularists. That's what they're worried about.
Well, why do you think he's doing it?
Well, I think that he has been emboldened because, I mean, this was a man who was being feted by Hillary Clinton yesterday for brokering the agreement between Israel and Hamas. And I think that there is also a genuine concern about Egypt spinning out of control. There is a need to assert authority, to have the rule of law, law and order. Maybe this is his way of trying to assert that, but it seems to be backfiring.
And so is this something where anybody else can have any say, or will this be resolved in Egypt by Egyptians?
Oh, this has to be resolved in Egypt by Egyptians, no question of that. It's really to do with the relationships between the Muslim Brotherhood, the judiciary, the military and people on the street.
Thanks, Lindsay. Well, we can go now to Cairo.